All right, welcome into KC Sports tonight, Wednesday, June 3rd. A lot to talk about today. We're going to start with the Chiefs because they have wrapped up voluntary OTAs, organized team activities. Marlia Campbell, our sports director, was out there today. She's had some great stories coming out of it, just with some top takeaways that we've seen. Obviously, the toppest takeaway is the fact that Patrick Mahomes is out there moving around. Obviously, it's not contact, so no one's touching him. Not that I think anyone in a Chiefs practice would ever touch Patrick Mahomes, but no one's going for the knee. He's just kind of getting back into the feel of it. Gabe, what have you thought from the videos that we've seen and the video that we've gotten here ourselves of Mahomes that we've gotten to see the last few practices?
That it's good that he's out there. He even said it last week that he's been told no running, no hard cutting, and obviously that all makes sense. And I believe it was Adam Schefter or Ian Rappaport, one of the two, a couple weeks ago mentioned that the Chiefs almost viewed this as you have worked so hard in rehab, you've been at the facility for so long that even if you can only be out there in the utmost limited capacity, you deserve to have the ability to do so because you've worked hard. And so, yes, they are taking their precautions on Patrick Mahomes, and all of that makes plenty of sense. But it is, I feel like, ahead of schedule in terms of everyone's expectations versus the reality of his participation. And that's really, really good to hear and good to see. And importantly, I think that the video that Marlia shot today aligns very similarly with what we saw from what Neil did last week.
Yeah.
And was able to gather. And so if he's looking similarly in different sites, that I would say bodes well for his ability to participate in practice and then go through the rehab and recovery process and be out there again.
Yeah, I mean, and if anyone's keeping track of the timeline, he tore his ACL approximately 6 months ago. It was mid-December. So it's a crazy timeline when you think about that. I mean, we've been seeing videos on his social media, little blurbs here and there for the past few months. So we know he's been up and at it, moving around on the knee. He's got like a bionic brace on it, keeping everything in there nice and tight, which of course is probably a big help. But, he's known for his Mahomes magic. We want to see Patrick Mahomes do the Mahomes magic, and that can only come when he gets to move around and be flexible back there. So it's good to see he's, starting to get back in the swing of it. And that he also, there could have been some guys in the league who in a situation like that didn't go to voluntary OTAs because they're voluntary. Patrick Mahomes said, I'm the leader of this football team. I have to be out there. I'm going to be out there. And he's setting the example. The newer guys on the team get to meet with him and connect with him and build rapport. So yeah, obviously love to see that from QB1 there. We also noticed today in the video that Marlia shot, Xavier Worthy had a yellow jersey on as well. We know he got an operation over the offseason to kind of just clean some stuff up with his shoulder. And I think Jaden Hicks did as well. So a few notables there. But we also got to hear from Eric Bieniemy today. You can tune in, or actually I believe it's already posted online. Correct, Gabe? Marlia's story from 4:30 today. You can go watch that on kctv5.com and hear all about Eric Bieniemy's return and what it's been like for him at OTAs. So yeah, OTAs are a wrap. Most notable absence because of the situation surrounding it is the fact that Rashee Rice is not there because he is still serving his 30 days in jail for violating his probation, testing positive for THC. And he tested positive for THC reportedly 1 week after getting knee surgery to just clean up some loose debris in his knee. We've talked on this show before about that doesn't sound like an ideal way to rehab a week after getting knee surgery. Even if it wasn't as serious as, getting your ACL repaired, still not great. And today we, from some court documents, it's been shown that his lawyers asked for two things. The first of which was to get him to be able to be moved in and out of a physical therapy center for his knee, which the court approved. He also got moved from isolation to general population. That was the other request that got approved. So good sign for Chiefs fans, I guess, that he's getting to not do PT in a jail cell.
Yeah, I think that it is, from a football perspective, it's a good thing for the Chiefs that he is being afforded I would call it a luxury to not have to do your PT in jail, not have to do it alone with no guidance, that you can have some kind of medical care person who knows something inform you and do these things with you. That is a good thing for the Chiefs. But at the same time, I think that this is another example of him needing the wake-up call or the appreciation of either second chances he's been afforded or things that he's been afforded simply out of the fact of who he is. And that most people are not being given this leeway to do something outside of jail. Most people are not getting every single request that they want, or the two that he has made. Not to say that they're unreasonable or that the court should have said no, but he got two requests and both were granted to him. So you would hope, there's nothing that we've talked about this on the show recently, but there's been nothing to indicate to us that he has really truly understood the behaviors that he's done and that he's learned from any of them. But you would hope that someone and the judges in the court giving him this opportunity, I would say again, an opportunity to maximize your career and be in the best possible spot that you can be in given the circumstances to return and play well, because presumably this is to help your body feel better and recover faster. You would hope that he appreciates that. And that is about all I can say about it at this point, because it is a good thing for the team. I hope it's a good thing for his mental understanding of what he has done and what he is being afforded the opportunity to do.
Yeah, we've said multiple times, it's what he got to begin with was a sweetheart deal of getting to serve out the jail sentence 30 days over a period of a year. It's a sweetheart deal that not a lot of people get unless they're a star wide receiver in the NFL. And then, we've gone over all the frustrations with how many chances he's had and all this stuff. At this point, all we can do is just hope that this, once again, sweetheart deal that he's getting while serving jail time could be the wake-up call. We thought the wake-up call was last summer, and then he got up on the podium at training camp and told us it was, and then I guess it wasn't. But yeah, it feels like he's being spoon-fed these, like you said, chances and these opportunities. So I think Chiefs Kingdom is just hoping that one is going to stick. Maybe it's this one. From a football perspective, I don't think any Chiefs fan loved the idea of him doing his PT and recovering from that surgery sitting in a jail cell. Not ideal. So ideal for football. And of course, he gets out, is scheduled to get out on June 16th. So, Andy Reid has touched on it a little bit in his time at the podium throughout OTAs. He's expecting him to be back as soon as he can and isn't expecting there to be that much of an issue, I guess, physically, especially now that he gets to do PT outside of jail. So
yeah, we'll see.
We're just going to wait and see.
The request was granted to him 7 days after he was jailed.
Yes.
So that is roughly a quarter of the amount of time that he spent in jail it came on May 28th. That's the same day that Andy Reid told us that Rashee Rice had been in communication with Rick Burkholder, the trainer for the Chiefs. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. We don't know what day Rashee had contact with Rick Burkholder. But you presume there was at least some portion of that first week in jail that he was doing his training stuff with no medical person with him.
Not doing it well.
Yeah.
And the tough part about that is when you're recovering from an operation like that, the first kind of week after, once you're done relaxing, and then it's really time to like, okay, got to retrain my knee to do this, blah, blah, blah. Like that's kind of the most important time. So it leads one to believe that maybe some issues physically arose from his situation and how he was going about his PT while in jail. And then this came, I think, is a reasonable guess to make. But over the weekend, Xavier Worthy had a kids camp over at Southeast High School. He was asked when we were talking to him about Rashee, and he said that he talks to him every day, which I found interesting. Not sure what the policy is, obviously, in jail.
I don't know either.
With phones?
I'm not familiar.
But unsure if Xavier Worthy just kind of, figure of speech said that. But that's what he said. So, yeah, interesting all-around situation there. And next, the Chiefs have mandatory minicamp, and that starts on June 9th, runs through the 11th. Everyone's got to be there, so we're going to see everyone in action. And that's next week, so that'll be a fun little Chiefs topics before the craziness of the World Cup begins. So, yeah, stay tuned with us for that. For now, we will go to the Royals, who are on their road trip still around the country. Now they're in Cincinnati. Game 3 tonight, rubber match. Royals take game 1, 9-2, with a grand slam in the first inning. They drop yesterday's game 4-3. How many times have the Royals lost by 1 run? We could make a whole narrative of that.
How many times have they blown a save?
What's your confidence level tonight, Gabe?
Not very high. I just saw some pregame comments from Matt Quatrero, or that he is going to explore more of a matchup-based mentality in the 9th inning, which makes you presume that they are not going to use Lucas Erceg just every single time in the 9th. I said last night the definition of insanity is whatever Matt Quatrero is doing in the 9th inning, mostly off of the fact that it has just continually been go to Lucas Erceg and go to Lucas Erceg despite back-to-back blown saves, despite the fact that his ERA was above 6, despite the fact that I believe he leads the league in blown saves. And
he's a relief pitcher. He's not a closer.
He was really, really good in 2024. He was really solid in 2025. 2026 has not been his year.
Yeah.
And 2026 has not been his year. It's not been the bullpen's year. The bullpen has been straight up one of the worst in baseball. From day 2 of the season, when Carlos Estevez came in and basically threw batting practice to the Braves, until last night. We're 61 games into this, and the Royals bullpen has not been good. And I've said this to friends. I said this in a tweet. I am no longer holding it against Matt Quatrero, the decisions he makes in the 6th, the 7th, and the 8th inning. But with that being said, I can complain about them continually trying Lucas Erceg there in the 9th when they have done different things at different times and shown themselves to be flexible enough to switch things. This year it feels like, and I said this a month ago, when the Royals are on the road, it feels like they just react to whoever they're playing against. They don't pressure the other team. They just react to the other team. And that is why they have 8 wins on the road. They're one of 3 teams in baseball with less than 10 wins on the road, which is awful.
That's horrible.
And their winning percentage on the road is, I think, 27.5%. And the historically bad White Sox team that the Royals pummeled in 2024 had a win percentage of like 25.9%. So they are bordering on being one of the worst MLB teams of all time level of play, specifically when they play on the road.
Yeah.
And I think that the general consensus around town is getting toward you're not only are you failing, you're failing so drastically beyond the expectations that something has to happen. So they keep switching lineup things around and doing different things. Monday night was encouraging to see Jack Caglione hit a home run off of a lefty and hit higher in the lineup. And then last night he hit 7th against a guy who's a left-hander who does better against lefties than righties. That doesn't compute with me. But I I've just done it for a couple minutes, tried to rationalize this team. I don't know why we try to rationalize this team at this point. It is a frustrating endeavor to try to do so.
It just feels like every night we are watching Mac Rotero and company throw something at the wall and hope that it sticks. And
but a lot of times it's the same thing.
And over and over again. And, like, it's the same thing so many times. And then he's like, oh, let's just shake it up here. And then that doesn't work either. Or maybe it does work. Oh, no, we're going to go back to the basics because we're going to hope that we throw it at the wall and sticks. So it's frustrating. The Royals are dead last in the AL Central, 23-38 on the season, 11 and a half games back. Safe to say we're probably not having October baseball in Kansas City this year. But on the bright side, World Cup to distract us.
On the bright side, All-Star voting is open.
All-Star voting is open.
And I will say this, and I genuinely mean this. It is a sports crime that Bobby Witt Jr. has not started the All-Star game yet. Last year, and I said this, and I argued this vehemently with our guy Neil Jones, that Neil said Royals fans support plenty enough, but what do they have to support? The one thing that you do have to support, the one guy who does show up to the yard every single night and do positive, productive things either with his glove, his legs, or his bat, is Bobby Witt Jr. And he right now has the second best WAR in baseball. He absolutely is the American League and the MLB's best shortstop. Mm-hmm. And he absolutely deserves to start the All-Star game. Last year he didn't because of Jacob Wilson having a bunch of singles and doubles for the Athletics. That was ridiculous. 2 years ago, it made a little bit more sense because Gunnar Henderson and him were kind of neck and neck. I won't fault people for letting Gunnar Henderson start the All-Star game in 2024.
He had a crazy year.
But Bobby Witt Jr. should absolutely start the All-Star game this year. And if Royals fans want to take out their frustration on the rest of the roster, sure. Don't let that distract from the fact that you should still stuff the ballot box 5 times a day, which you're allowed to do during phase 1 of the voting, for Bobby Witt Jr. and get him to start July 14th, because that is like the one of the few positive things is you could get a Bobby Witt Jr. All-Star game start. And given the Aaron Judge injury as of late, Bobby Witt Jr. is sliding into AL MVP favorite status at the moment. And I guess we have that to follow for the Royals this year.
Yeah, I mean, amidst all of the anger that you see from fans on Twitter and other social media, like when they're talking about these things, I so frequently see tweets that are like all just about how they're wasting Bobby's career.
Yeah.
And so you have to just, yes, you're frustrated with the team, but you have to take a step back and realize, here is this ray of sunshine, Bobby Witt Jr. like the Teletubbies meme where like the sun is in the sky and there's like a face in it. That's Bobby Witt Jr.
Niche. Yeah.
Yes, he needs to start in the All-Star game because that poor guy is trying so hard.
Yeah.
He's like floating on a piece of wood in the middle of the ocean, like hoping to be saved by the rest of his team, and it's not happening. But at least we can make him an all-star.
Yeah.
As starter. So yeah, the Royals, they start soon. We'll have highlights.
20
at 10.
minutes. Yes.
We've got if there are highlights, we will hope that there are. Another baseball team who, I don't know, let's just throw the Jayhawks and the Royals in a diamond together and let them play. The Jayhawks know how to hit the baseball. Granted, college baseball is a lot more offensive than the MLB because the pitching is way worse. But I rest my case. I think it would be entertaining to watch. It's going to be a super weekend in Lawrence, Kansas, because not only do the Jayhawks get to play in their first super regional ever. Yes, they advanced to the College World Series before, but at that point, playoff format was different. Super regionals did not exist. So this is the furthest they've made it in the postseason in a very, very, very long time. After hosting their very first regional ever, they are now going to host the Super because OU upset Georgia Tech, the number 2 overall seed, and a bunch of other upsets around the country happened. UCLA went down. The highest remaining seed is Georgia at 3rd overall. So a lot of upsets happened over the weekend of regionals, and so KU, the 15th overall seed, gets to host a Super, and it's going to be against Oklahoma. We know it's going to be Saturday at 5, Sunday at 5, and if needed, Monday, time to be determined. We heard from Dan Fitzgerald yesterday, their head coach, who's in his 4th year in Lawrence. Him and his band of JUCO bandits are putting the nation on notice. They're a fun team to watch. Tickets go on sale on Friday. What's your excitement level for this weekend and your confidence level in the Jayhawks?
I think the excitement level has to be as high as it can be. It's there are a lot of things that we have become accustomed to seeing, and I would say accustomed to seeing in this sports market of Kansas City and the surrounding area of KU, Mizzou, and K-State. And this is not something that we are accustomed to seeing. So it's very unique. I think anytime that something is unique, it stands out even more. And Fitzgerald said yesterday, I think one of the things that he stood out to me was him admitting that he drove into the facility on Monday knowing Oklahoma and Georgia Tech were going to play, and he was like, I see the banners and the signs out there in the backyard and left field, and I see the porta potties, and I just hope that we can fill them and have people out there again this weekend. And he said he was watching the game as a fan on Monday a little bit, and also as an evaluator of like, how would we beat Oklahoma? How would we beat Georgia Tech? And
I believe his exact words were, when they tied it up, oh, I just hoped they were going to walk them off.
Yeah, and then they did walk them off. And
you love to hear stuff like that from a coach, like admittedly getting excited about things.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think KU fans should be excited. I think they should be confident that they have the better baseball team this year. Now, weird things can happen in a 3-game series, and it would not be the most surprising thing of all time for them to not advance, because Oklahoma just beat a team that is presumably much better than KU. Georgia Tech had 50-plus wins this season, so they were a really good team.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're favored to go to Omaha, and at this point, with 1 and 2 out of the tournament, with a lot of other teams, nationally ranked teams, not advancing, and I think we're at the point where half of the national seeds are gone. Yes, 5 of the ranked teams are still in the side of the bracket KU is on, but none of that matters until they get to Omaha. You can say, yeah, they're on the tougher side of the bracket, but the only thing that matters this weekend is winning 2 out of 3, and they are well equipped to do so. They'll have a day of rest advantage over Oklahoma if that matters for the arms, and it certainly matters in college baseball, the arms and the availability. But I think it could be it is shaping up to be a historic weekend in Lawrence, and I'm most intrigued to see if they do win and if they do advance. Are we getting a full storming of Mass Street, a la a Final Four type thing? I know it's not KU basketball, not to that level, and the students aren't on campus.
Yeah.
But
there's still plenty of them out there.
But there's still
plenty
of people.
So many KU students are from the state of Kansas, so I have to imagine there's plenty over there. I think the biggest thing that the Jayhawks have on their side is the fact that they only played 3 games last weekend. Because the toughest part of regionals and the way that the weekend is constructed is that you very often have to play more than 3 games unless you win all of your games. KU won all of their games, so they only had to play 3 games. That's 3 starting pitchers. That's a normal weekend. Like, that's a 3-game series against like how they do it literally every other weekend of the year. So I think that they have that going for them because they just have their 3 weekend starters keeping in rotation. I think that's the most important thing here is that they didn't have to go too deep into their bullpen, make guys way more tired than they would have been otherwise. So, yeah, just getting it done in 3 games because, I mean, that's the biggest reason why Arkansas lost on Sunday night was because they had to play so many games because they lost a game and then had to go in the consolation and had to go back to the regional final. So Arkansas had no pitching left, and that's a very common thing that we see throughout both baseball and softball. Which the Women's College World Series is happening Game 1 tonight between Texas Tech and Texas.
Yeah.
Good Lord. For the 2nd straight year, those two are squaring off, and it's all about pitching. So the fact that KU got it done in 3 last weekend, and this series is yet another max 3 games, that's going to be very key for them, I think. And yeah, it's going to be awesome. I mean, they already said limited tickets available. So
it's going to be sparse because the donors are going to eat them up at the start. So we'll see what it's like. But
we have seen videos. If you've been on social media, you might have seen videos of people reacting to, oh my God, look at this $5,000 ticket. Tickets have not been on sale. So don't believe any of those people. And that's from the capital J journalists here at KCTV5. We're guaranteeing you. But yeah, tickets go on sale 10 a.m. Central Time, Friday morning for what's going to be a very, very fun weekend in Lawrence. I was out there on Sunday night. The tailgating all throughout the parking lots. Everyone just having a good time. It was an awesome environment. So excited for another weekend of it. Another team, another fan base who has a very exciting weekend coming up are the Kansas City Mavericks. I was at Game 6 last night at Cable Dahmer Arena in Independence, where they were up 3-0.
Yeah.
And then gave up back-to-back goals in under 2 minutes of each other with 10 minutes to go in the third period. And then gave up a game-tying goal with 5 seconds left on the clock. And to overtime we went between the Mavericks and the Fort Wayne Comets. But the thing about ECHL hockey, it's sudden death overtime, and the Mavs scored in like 2 minutes. So it didn't take too long for them to seal the 4-3 victory, take the Western Conference Final Championship, and they are now headed to the Kelly Cup Finals. Games 1 and 2 will be in Independence, and that starts on Friday. The atmosphere was bumping in Independence last night in that arena. The fans were going crazy. I mean, the guys on the ice after we went on, I walked in luckily I had like sneakers with really good traction on, so it wasn't too slippery, but I was doing my duck walk out there. We talked to Tad O'Had. We talked to Jakub Novak, who scored the game winner. They were happy. So big news for the Mavs, who are headed back to their second Kelly Cup Finals in 3 years.
Yeah. Most teams, when you blow a 3-0 lead and then you go into overtime, you got to think you're reeling. I saw the quotes that you gathered, and the ability of them to regroup, recover, and win is important, because you got to think if they lose that one and they're playing a Game 7 tonight, you're kind of spending all of last night and all of today thinking, man, we just gave that one away
in 10 minutes.
And who knows what happens tonight. It's hockey. One game is a tough thing to just have it come down to. So advancing, now they get to a spot where they got to get over the hump. They've been here before, but they've never gotten through and won the whole thing. So we will see if they can. But this is just a really consistent organization that wins a lot, and it's impressive what OHAD has put together.
Yeah, absolutely. And the energy that the guys had on the ice was awesome last night. A fun fact, in case anyone watching didn't know, if you watched the video that I got of them around the trophy, no one was touching it. And no one touched their regular season championship trophy. No one touched the Western Conference Finals trophy, because they have a superstition that if you touch the trophy, you're not going to win the Kelly Cup Finals. So they have not touched any of the trophies that they've won all season, because otherwise they won't win the Kelly Cup Finals.
Superstitions.
And you know what? I respect it. It's kind of fun.
I don't know. They probably did it the last time. They probably did it
the
last time, though, and it didn't work out that time either. So
but yeah, it was very funny. The players were like, "We're keeping our distance. We're all way back here." So yeah, Mavs taking on the Florida Everblades in the Kelly Cup Finals. That starts Friday night. Puck drop is at 7 in Independence. It's going to be a fun one. Lots of fun stuff happening this weekend. Thanks for joining us on KC Sports tonight. We've got your newscast coming up at 6. Adios.